Hey everybody. The date is Tuesday, March 17th. The time is 6:13 p.m. Central Time. I'm in Missouri. Uh, Depending on how far away from this date we get, here's what's happening in the world. The coronavirus and ensuing panic is kind of sweeping the world right now. Everything is slowly shutting, actually not so slowly, shutting down. Restaurants, movie theaters, all kinds of public places. The recommendation as of the last day or two is to not meet in groups of 10 or more. Uh, and places of worship are also closing, anywhere that they have groups. Now, if we're going to be completely honest and objective about it, I have to think that maybe the medical people know a little more than the masses. Certainly, these people on Facebook and other social media don't know very much. Occasionally, you've got doctors who are posting things, but I question really how much they know. As for washing your hands a lot, that's always a good idea. As far as self quarantining, if it's not going to destroy your livelihood and it's an option for you, yeah, it's probably a better idea. You will have lost 2 weeks of your life in many senses, maybe with regard to your livelihood, but just because you're at home does not mean that you cannot be productive. And that's something to keep in mind is it doesn't mean you have to watch Netflix or, you know, even play board games for 2 weeks straight. You can do a lot of productive things with your time. If you're not going to self quarantine, you might want to consider doing something positive. And I'm not saying I know how, but for example, helping the elderly or people who are unable to help themselves. I don't know how they could need help or how you could provide help to them without putting them at risk. My dad is 88 years old, and it was necessary for me to go to his house this past Sunday. And I was nervous about it because I didn't want to infect him. So I wore one of those masks, whatever the U82 or N97 or whatever those masks are, that supposedly are the only ones that work. It was a terrible experience for me because I couldn't breathe and the thing smelled of cigarette smoke, and I don't smoke cigarettes. Uh, it was not good, but I did that because I want to protect him. He's 88, he's not in good shape. I went in an entrance that he rarely goes in that part of the house and straight up to the room where uh, I needed to get something taken care of for him. So I don't want to put him at risk, and I'm afraid to see him. Being 88 years old, I don't know how much time he has left in this world, to be honest with you. And I see him every opportunity that I get, but I just think that right now I don't want to be doing anything that would potentially shorten his life. I don't want to put him in jeopardy, and I'm sure all of you understand that. Uh, so when I think about trying to help the elderly or the people who are not that healthy, you might be putting them at risk just by seeing them, but there are things, if you get a little creative, that you can do for them. Of course, that isn't self quarantining. That's if you're not self quarantining. It's a nice thing to do. We are in a time where we could stand to help each other out. Now, how serious is this threat? Like I say, I have no idea. I don't think that anybody truly has an idea. But I saw somewhere that when there's a pandemic, a real pandemic, before it, everybody acts as though everybody is overreacting. And after it, people act like you didn't do enough, we didn't do enough, we could have done so much more. That's human nature. You don't have to beat yourself up about it, but you don't have to beat up people you think are overreacting about it. And afterwards, the survivors don't need to beat themselves or others up about not doing enough about it. We're all doing the best that we can with the information that we have, and that's going to have to be good enough. So I urge you to be respectful of others. I urge you to be sensible, whatever sensible is to you, and try to help other people if you can. And if you have the opportunity to self-quarantine, it's not going to hurt. That's about all I want to say about it. I deal with a lot of people in search of life insurance. It's kind of a double-edged sword. They are very aware of their mortality right now and therefore have a stronger desire to talk about life insurance. At the same time, they don't want to come to see me and they don't want me going to see them. So, things can be done on the phone or in a Zoom call or that type of teleconference type of thing, but it's hard to be as effective. So there are challenges that each of us faces. Um, I also have a computer business. That's somewhat affected, not as strongly affected. In fact, we got a lot of people who want monitors and because they have laptops at home and they've been sent home from work and they want to extend their display, but we're not in the business of selling monitors. But we had some spare monitors, so I said, yeah, come by and I'll give you a monitor for $20 or whatever. Um, and we've got a high demand for that. I could probably sell them for more, but I don't feel right about that. Uh, Help out if you can. Help yourself, help others. Take care of yourself, take care of your family, and take care of others to the extent you can. Be well, have a good evening, and that's possibly the shortest video that I've ever made.